right, well, welcome to Unit 4, Section 2 notes. Now we're going to learn about the savings options and their features and the different ways in which you can plan to save more effectively. So, what do I need to think about when I'm selecting a savings plan? Well, liquidity is important. Liquidity means how fast can I turn that investment into cash. So most savings plans are very liquid, meaning that they're accessible on demand through your ATM or by going to the bank or transferring funds from your online account. So how quickly you can turn your savings into cash when you want it. Safety. Is it safe from loss? Meaning that is there any risk to this investment where I may lose not only interest but possibly principal? So because these are FDIC insured, they are guaranteed up to $250,000. So if the bank were to lose its funds by filing bankruptcy, misallocation of its loanable funds, then your funds would still be safe up to $250,000. Other things you need to think about are convenience, meaning how close do you need to have your local savings account, or do you need to have local ATMs, as well as what kind of services may be offered through that particular institution where I might want to have that savings plan at. Meaning, does it have online accounting? Does it have a variety of different CDs that are offered and such? Next is going to be your interest rate, or what's the earning potential on that savings that I can get, the yield. So you want to earn as much interest rate as you can on your deposit while maintaining the degree of liquidity, safety, and convenience that you want. You also need to consider the various fees and restrictions that various institutions may have. They may have early withdrawal restrictions or minimum balances that those savings accounts must have at all times. There may be service charges every time you do a transaction, or be a monthly fee. Those all differ based on the different types of institution or bank that you use. So selecting a savings plan needs to be considered of all those characteristics. So what are some of my options? Well, you have a passport account, and that is a depositor receives a booklet in which deposits and withdrawals and interest are recorded in the booklet. Average interest rate is lower at banks and savings and loans than at credit unions, and the funds are easily accessible as long as the financial institution is open during those hours. You could also get a statement account, and that's basically the same as a passbook account, except the depositor receives a monthly statement instead of a passbook. Accounts are usually accessible through 24-hour ATMs, and interest rates are going to be the same as a passbook account, and once again, funds are easily accessible because you have that ATM, so not even when the store or the institution is open, you can use an ATM to access those savings. You could have an interest-earning checking account, and that combines benefits of a checking and a savings account, in which you can write checks and make purchases on demand while it earns interest with the funds that are in that account. So the depositor earns interest on unused money in his or her account. The benefits are is that you have higher liquidity. The trade-off is that you have a lower interest rate. Certificates of deposit, once again, also known as CDs. This is when a depositor earns a fixed interest rate for a specified length of time that's negotiated at the time of the setup of your certificate of deposit. For example, you could have a CD earning a 5% interest rate for 6 months on that principal that you put into that CD. A CD requires a minimum deposit. It could be $1,000, $2,000, it depends. And you'll find that there's a relationship with it. The larger the minimum deposit, the greater the interest rate that they will give you, as well as the longer time that you allow the bank to have that CD, the greater the interest rate. CDs are much less liquid than savings accounts. You cannot access that money until the maturity date in which the time the investment comes due for payment. If you do pull out early, you could lose your interest earned plus have a 10% penalty fee. So, benefits of certificates of deposit. There's no risk of losing your money unless you have early withdrawal. So it's not an investment risk. It's truly just a risk as far as you don't have access to your money. They're very easy to set up, so they're simple. And there's no fees associated with setting them up, as well as they offer higher interest rates than savings accounts do. Trade-off is you've got restricted access to your money, so you need to make sure that that's not money that's part of that needed money of your emergency fund that would need to get access to in case of an emergency. And then there is a withdrawal penalty of cash before your expiration or maturity date. These are just examples of different types of CDs that your financial institution may offer. There could be a variable interest rate in which an interest rate changes from time to time. It could be a rate of return based on how the stock market's doing. It could be a callable CD or a global CD of investments from around different currencies, or a promotional CD, such as maybe they have just a youth CD and you can have that money in starting at the age of 10. It must be withdrawn by the time you are 18 and you get the interest earned on that account. So they may offer special savings rates to on CDs to get you to try a CD or to encourage youth to start saving. Money market accounts, how do they, what are they and how do they work? A money market is a deposit account offered by a bank which has relatively a high rate of interest and typically requires a higher minimum balance to earn interest or avoid monthly fees. It works just like a checking savings account. The interest rates on money market accounts go up and down with the stock market. You can access your money from an ATM or a teller or by writing up to 3 checks a month. This does have a little bit more restriction as far as accessibility, so it's not as liquid as an interest-bearing checking account. Benefits are it's immediately accessible to your money. The average yield or the rate of return is higher than your regular savings account. Trade-off is that they do require higher minimum balances and you are limited to the number of checks that can be written each month. So when you're planning to save, how do you know what interest rate you need to have to be able to save for a certain period of time? Or if you know what your interest rate is, what will you earn after a period of years? So we call this the rule of 72, and it says how many years will it take me to double my money? So if you want to find the number of years, you always divide 72 by the rate of return that that account will give you. So if you're earning a 3% on your money at a savings account, how long will it take you to double at that rate of return? All you have to do is take 72 divided by 3, and it'll take you 24 years to double your money. So if you save $10,000, it would take you 24 years for it to earn an additional $10,000, in which you have $20,000 total. So it would take you 24 years based on the rule of 72. Now, what if you need to solve for what is the interest rate do I need if you need to double your money for so many years? So if you want to find out what rate of return you need to have, you want to divide 72 by the number of years in which you want your money to double. So if you want your money to double in 24 years, for possibly, let's say you're saving for your daughter's wedding, and you start saving when they're born, and you think that that money should be accessible at 24 years of age, then what interest rate or rate of return would you need that account to have to double those funds? So you would take 72 divided by 24, and you would need to find an account that earns 3%. So how can you save regularly to build up that savings for expected and unexpected events? If you set up through direct deposit and have money directly deposited into your savings account from your employer, that is a guaranteed way of saving money. You could do automatic payroll deductions in which the employer automatically deducts and puts money into a savings account. So it's having a certain amount of money withheld from your paycheck and deposited into your savings account by the employer. You could participate in a payroll savings plan in which money is taken out of each paycheck and deposited in a bank or credit union or used to buy government savings bonds by your employer. So there's a variety of ways in which you need to that you can start saving regularly. You want to have at least 6 months worth of fixed and variable expenses saved to make sure that you have saving for that rainy day, that you've built a nest egg to handle any emergencies in case you were to lose your job, and you'd still be able to maintain your standard of living. So this is the end of Unit 4. Hopefully you've learned how important savings is and why you need to do it.